What's up, everyone? Matt here, and welcome to another episode of Down Once More. It's mini episode week, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'm coming at you with a little bit of a different look today. If you noticed, it is because it is 6:20 a.m. on Tuesday the 18th, and I'm recording this before I go to work, so I'm all ready for work, so welcome to the new look. Got a few things I'm going to cover today. First off, the biggest thing that I'm going to get into is House of the Dragon is back on HBO, so I'm going to do a little bit of a recap on that, not nearly as in-depth as I did on The Last of Us, but just some of my initial thoughts for it and what I think we're in for this season. Then the Tony Awards were also this weekend, so I'm going to touch on that a little bit. This is a musical podcast after all. I'm not going to get super in-depth, but there's a couple big winners there that I want to highlight. And then last night, I went to another mystery movie showing, so I'll be talking about that, what movie I saw, and my thoughts on that on here. And also, we had a new music drop on Monday. He releases a new album on Monday, Your Broken Hero, that's who. If you're not familiar with Your Broken Hero, it is the band started by Matt Cutshall, who does the Emo's Not Dead videos. He does a lot of other videos. Hilarious. The Emo's Not Dead videos are some of my favorites. Brings me back to the high school, early college days of just the being into that emo music hardcore. I still am. His other merch line is the Emo's Not Dead. It was never just a phase. Things like that. I have a Your Broken Hero, his band he started, a shirt, actually, that I was going to wear for this, but that is not appropriate for work, so this is what you get instead. The debut album from Your Broken Hero, they released a couple of singles a year or so ago. It might have been almost 2 years ago. A Letter to Ashley and Tommy's Face. Great, like perfect mix of this is kind of meant to be a parody, but this song is fucking fire. And so that's what we get with this album. It is a bunch of songs that bring in a bunch of big names in emo scenes. We have Under Oath, we have Newfound Glory, we have Senses Fail, we have Secondhand Serenade, we have The Almost, and then we also have August Burns Red and Reclaim the Fallen on the track Rooftops remix, which is fantastic. My favorite song from the album is probably Don't Listen to My Voicemail, which is just a lot of fun. Great song, a throwback to kind of those emo days and music. I highly recommend it. It's streaming now, and that one, Don't Listen to My Voicemail, features Simple Plan too. So he just brings in a bunch of these like punk rock emo bands and has a lot of fun with it. You can tell he's having a good time in the music. If you watch any of the videos, check out Matt Cutshall on YouTube and Emo's Not Dead. Search that, just so good. Great videos, and the album is fantastic for a debut album, so check it out. Now, the main meat that I want to get into is House of the Dragon. It is back, and it is back with vengeance. So I didn't get the chance to rewatch season 1 before season 2. Things have just been crazy for me. And so I did watch, though, HBO's 13-minute recap of season 1, which is a great kind of recap showing what all happened, what's all going on. I will say, I had this with season 1, and I'm going to have it with season 2, I know, since I didn't get my rewatch in. It's going to take me a while to get used to all the names again, because you have a lot of similar names, and you have a lot of it's a huge cast of characters that are in this, main players that are going on. So I'm going to talk some brief spoilers for the episode. Like I said, I'm not going to get crazy in depth with it. But the season 1 ended with Aemond, Alicent Hightower's son, and her son with King Viserys, who is Rhaenyra's father. And I'm not going to give all the backstory on this. I'm just assuming you know some of the names. Aemond is on his giant dragon, Vhagar, that he got, and starts chasing down Rhaenyra's son, Luke, who's on his smaller dragon, and Vhagar ends up eating the dragon and Luke. The reason Aemon was chasing him was to get for revenge for what Luke had taken out one of his eyes. They were fighting when they were younger. And so he kills Luke. You can kind of see Aemon, it was not necessarily an accident. He spurred Vagar to do it, but he didn't intend for it to go that far. And that's where season 1 ends, with Luke killed by Vagar, and that's like fade to black, credits. Season 2 opens up in Winterfell, which I wasn't expecting, but I kind of love this move. Because Luke was sent to Storm's End to recruit that house for Rhaenyra, because at the end of season 1, there's conflict over the throne, because Viserys had named Rhaenyra his heir, but then Alicent saying that Viserys on his deathbed named their son Aegon his heir. And so there's that challenge for the throne, those people who want to see Rhaenyra on the throne, and then those who are supporting what Alicent's saying Viserys' wishes were with Aegon. And so that's where the battle, Team Black with the Targaryens and Team Green with Alicent Hightower and her father Otto Hightower, who's the Hand, and Aegon is who's currently sitting on the throne in King's Landing. And so that's where the power struggle is. So season 2 opens up. Like I said, season 1 ended with Luke going to Storm's End and that confrontation with Aemond there, because he's trying to get them to pledge to Rhaenyra's side. Jace, was going to Winterfell to recruit the Starks, to fight for them and on their side. So season 2 opens up. First, it has a whole new revamped intro, which I actually loved. Season 1 had a great intro. You have the theme score. You have the Thrones theme playing, which a little bit of a cop-out to not do your own spin on it on the music, but that theme song is just so iconic, so I get it. And season 1 had done very similar to Thrones, like the castles and the places building up. It just isn't specifically a map, but they're building out stone. There's blood flowing that's turning the wheels that are having these places and landmarks pop up on the map. That was a season 1 intro. Season 2 goes with a tapestry being woven, and the threads just crawling across kind of the history of Westeros and the Targaryens, and then kind of what we've seen in season 1 in there. And I thought it was great. You still have the same iconic theme song, and I liked mixing it up with the tapestry, differentiated a little bit. It was really neat. And so now in the show, it goes to Winterfell first, and you're hearing Cregan Stark doing this narration, and the actor is doing like his best Kit Harington impression. Like for a hot minute, I thought it was Kit Harington talking, and I was really confused how they were going to throw that in. But I'm like, okay, this has to be a Stark then. Like this accent, there's snow, we're getting a Stark. And it was Cregan Stark giving a narration about how the men in their family would draw lots. They'd draw stones to see who would go serve on the wall, because it was part of their duty. And then he is on the wall with Jacaerys, and he's trying to get Cregan to pledge men to come help Rhaenyra. And Cregan pledges their graybeards, so the older ones. And Jace is like, well, as long as they can still fight. He said they will fight fierce because they're Northerners. And then we cut back to kind of everything that's going on, back down with Rhaenyra, Daemon, all of that. And Daemon and Rhaenys have a little bit of a confrontation. Rhaenys was kind of hoping for the throne before Viserys. That's the very opening scene of season 1. And so Rhaenys is married to Corlys Velaryon, and they kind of have not machinations for the throne, but they have their thoughts. Rhaenys is standing behind Rhaenyra because she sees that they're trying to strip from her what Rhaenys was stripped of. And Daemon had been married to Rhaenys and Corlys' daughter, and then when she ended up getting killed by her dragon, and Daemon's kind of an all-around a little bit of a douche canoe. He had killed his first wife, and then this happened with his wife there, and then marrying Rhaenyra. So there's some tension between Rhaenys and Daemon already, and they have a whole confrontation where Daemon's trying to get her to fly with him to King's Landing so they can take out Aemond, because even though it's been almost 2 years for us since season 1, it's been like 1 year and 7 months, it's only been a couple days from when they found out that Luke is dead. And so they're still going through all those emotions. And Rhaenys refuses to ride with Daemon to King's Landing. And she's making comments about, because Daemon's just not understanding why Rhaenyra is gone and why she's not acting. And Rhaenys tries to explain to her. She's like, when I found out my daughter was dead, I did not have closure. I did not accept it until I saw her burnt corpse, because her dragon had smoked her, is what happened. And so you then go to Rhaenyra, and she is just off kind of on her own with her dragon, just mourning the death and the loss of Luke. And eventually she sees a dragon wing slash arm wash up on shore. She goes down with her dragon, and it is Luke's dragon's wing and then his cloak. And that is where she just starts to break down, and that's what makes it even more real, kind of what Rhaenys had just been describing. And it's also mournful for her dragon, because Luke's dragon was her dragon's child. And so it is just the breakdown of the two mothers just weeping over the death of their children. I mean, the dragon's not really weeping, but you get the picture. And then that's when Rhaenyra goes back to her council and says that she wants Aemond. And meanwhile, in King's Landing, you're seeing what's going on. Alicent's getting busy with Criston Cole and the head of the Kingsguard, and so you're getting some Thrones action there. I will say one thing I appreciate from House of the Dragon, and it didn't bother me in Thrones, but it was just constant criticism, was the I'm trying to think of the word, but the narration, the background, sex position, that's what it was, like exposition with sex. So just, especially the early seasons, just a lot of that thrown in there. House of the Dragon has been very contained with that. Restrained is the word I was looking for. It's early, it's like 6 a.m., bear with me. Has been very restrained with what they've thrown in there. And they'd even said that they want to make sure it's furthering the plot, furthering the story. Olivia Cook said in an interview that there is one sex scene that was like raw and real that she was really proud of, but it was cut from this because they felt like you didn't learn more about the characters in that scene. So I do appreciate that, because that was a constant criticism of Thrones, and I do think House of the Dragons being more restrained in that. What they're not being restrained in is child murders. This is like the ultimate, like, fuck them kids show, which I'll talk about when I talk about the ending a little bit. But in King's Landing, we're seeing different things. We're seeing Aegon wanting to bring his son Jaehaerys into the small council with him. You're seeing Jaehaerys just kind of fucking with Tywin Lannister, the master of coin, and Aegon just laughing at his kid misbehaving. That's kind of his vibe. But you can see he's also kind of like a proud parent. And they were talking in the after episode about how Aegon wanting to bring Jaehaerys with him is kind of wanting to give him something that Viserys never gave him. Viserys never included him and kind of really treated him as his heir, because he wasn't. Viserys had named Rhaenyra his heir. And so you see Aegon kind of trying to make those changes and do something different with his son. And then at the small council meeting, you see it's just Otto Hightower and Alicent Hightower just kind of dominating things and kind of viewing Aegon as just kind of their pawn, their mouthpiece. They're working through him. They're really the one working everything and behind it. And you get glimpses when Aegon's holding his first time in court, when the people are coming to him with those issues, that when he's trying to resolve them, he's genuinely trying to help them. You have a farmer come and talk about how the king's, not the Kingsguard, but how they had taken his goats. And I think it's that sheep farmer, but it was goats. Taking his goats, and they said they needed it in the case of war to help with the dragons, and just ask for them back because winter is coming. They need them, and Aegon's inclined. He gives them back, and then Otto just steps in and says, "You can't do this. You do this for him. You have to do it for everyone. Words are going to be spread. People are watching everything you do now." And just that realization of Aegon where he's trying to do good and realizing that even when he does that, it's not going to work out. It seems like he's even then just kind of giving up inside. He never really wanted to be king, anyways. That was never what he wished for. We learned in season 1. And so after Rhaenyra, I'm jumping back now, so sorry, this is all over the place. And this is not going to be your most concise or recap thought on the show that you can find out there. So apologies. My Mom's Basement has been doing fantastic when they did last year too, Game of Stools, and it's on the My Mom's Basement YouTube feed and podcast feed. So check that out. Robbie Fox, Clem do a great job. Kevin Clancy, Nick Hamilton on there as well. So it's usually pretty entertaining. A little fast and loose on YouTube. You check it out. They do costumes. I will not be doing costumes for these. But after Rhaenyra says that she wants Aemond, Daemon then takes it upon himself to get revenge in a sense. He goes to King's Landing and he hires a King's Guard that he knows is not, that he got intel on from the White Worm, I think is what she called, Missaria, and has him say, he tells him he wants him to kill Aemon. He wants a son for a son. And they then recruit this rat catcher from King's Landing, who in the book, these characters, this is the thing, this is based on a book, and I saw this because of some of the discourse afterwards. In the book, these characters are identified as Blood and Cheese. Blood is a former Kingsguard or not Night's Watchman, is a former City Watch Gold Cloak. In this, he is currently one, and Cheese is the rat catcher. So, a very apt naming there. And so what that entails is they go to the castle and they go to try to kill Aemond. They try to go get the son for son. Aemond is not in his quarters. Cheese eventually, it sounds so stupid saying that, but holds Helena captured, so Aegon's wife, and asks her to point out which one is her son, because they're going to kill a son for a son. They're going to kill her son, this 2-year-old. I don't know, maybe like 4. But Jaehaerys, who had sat there with Aegon, that's what they are going to do to enact Daemon's revenge and punishment. And ultimately, they kill Jaehaerys. It is not shown on screen, but the sounds of this were one of the most moments that I've heard. You could tell the sounds of like sawing through flesh and bone, and so it sounded rough. Apparently in the books it's a lot more intense and referred to as like the Red Wedding of this book, from the history of the Targaryens. I forget what exactly it's called now, so bad on me. But because that's one thing I forget, this is based on the book as well, on a book as well about the Targaryen history, and I think it's called Fire and Blood, now they say it. And so in that one, they go to, Blood and Cheese go to Alicent's chambers and hold her down, because they know Helena's going to be bringing the kids in there to say goodnight. And so they're restraining Alicent, holding her down. And then Helena comes in with Jaehaerys. Jaehaerys has a twin that I don't remember the name, a female twin, and then Maelor is the youngest boy. Maelor does not exist in this show yet, so I'm not sure if he'll pop up or not. I don't know how much significance he has later. And they tell Helena they have to choose who they kill, or they're going to kill all of them. And she chooses Maelor, but then they kill Jaehaerys. And so then, from what I've seen in the events of the book, it calls Helena to spiral, which we get a bit of that in the show, where she just runs with the twin girl to Alicent's room, who Alicent is getting busy with Kristen Cole. Again, good for her. And then that's where the episode ends, with the killing of Jaehaerys. And so then we get the teaser after the episode of what's coming on this season, and we are in for a ton of action. We are in for some insane intrigue, politics. It looks like we are in for a fantastic season, reminiscent of early Thrones seasons, and I'm pumped for it. So that's what's coming up. And that was my kind of scatterbrained recap, main thoughts that I had on House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 1. I'm not sure that I'll do this every week, but HotD is back. The show with the unfortunate or intentional acronym just makes it fun to talk about. You got to go into the office on Monday and talk about some HotD. Everyone loves that. Okay, next, some Tony Awards comments. The Tony Awards were held this weekend, and there were a few big winners on there. One of the ones that came away with the most wins was Merrily We Roll Along, which is the musical revival of Stephen Sondheim's play. So it won Best Revival of a Musical, Best Orchestration, and then Daniel Radcliffe won Best Supporting Actor, and Jonathan Groff won Best Leading Actor, which Jonathan Groff winning, I saw someone compare it on Twitter to, this is like Leonardo DiCaprio finally winning an Oscar. Jonathan Groff has been so deserving of a Tony, and that it finally happened for this show that has been widely praised is fantastic. And winning it with Daniel Radcliffe also winning the same night, and just the show winning so much prestige was so cool to see. Super happy for Jonathan Groff, because I love Jonathan Groff. I first saw him in Glee, and then you have him in Hamilton and Mindhunter. He's just insanely talented, and couldn't be happier for him. The other big winner, there were a couple other, but The Outsiders, that musical adaptation from the book and movie, won Best Musical. And then also won Best Sound Design, Best Lighting Design, and Best Direction of a Musical. So The Outsiders came away with some big wins, and it had a great performance there at the Tonys as well. So they had a lot of the cast on stage, the set, a lot of fun performances there. And the choreography and the dancing from their Rumble, there was a bit of that there, and it was fantastic. Hell's Kitchen was another big musical winner. It did not win any of the main awards for the musical itself. However, Malia Joy Moon and Keisha Lewis both won for their roles in the show. And then on the play side of things, Stereophonic was the one that came out as the big winner there. And so just shout out to those. I did see that the viewership on the Tonys had dropped. I think they said like 14% from what it was last year. So not as many people are watching, which is unfortunate. But I'm part of the problem because I didn't watch it. I picked it up on Twitter when I saw that happened. So, but it's great to see some of these recognitions. Super happy for Jonathan Groff. Super excited for everyone who's been able to check out Merrily We Roll Along. I've heard it's fantastic. And I've heard The Outsiders is great too. So, and Hell's Kitchen. So shout out all of those shows for the Tony Awards. Close it out this week. I went to another mystery movie, which, if you haven't listened to the last episode, my theater does every once in a while. There will be Monday mystery movies. So all we know is the rating of the movie, and that it's a movie opening, that it's unreleased. Historically, it's been one that's opening that Friday, so not super far in advance, but still, you get to see it before a lot of other people, which is exciting. So this one was R-rated. The last one we went to was Summer Camp with Kathy Bates, Diane Keaton. Not my cup of tea. It was not fantastic. So this, I looked up some of the movies that were opening this weekend, R-rated ones. I didn't want to be surprised. I wanted to go in knowing a little bit of what to expect. And there were about 4 options. And the one that we saw was The Bikeriders, which I was actually excited for. I didn't think we'd get this one because this, I think, will have a fairly decent release because it has a stacked cast. This movie is written and directed by Jeff Nichols. It's a fictional story, but it's inspired by 1967 photo book called The Bikeriders that was written and put out there by Danny Lyon, who is played in this movie by Mike Faist from West Side Story and the erotic tennis movie Challengers. In the movie, it's a very small role, but it is kind of what's keeping the plot going. We're getting some narration with it. And Danny Lyon followed the Outlaws MC, a motorcycle club from like 1967 to 1967 to 1973 is kind of that time period that he followed the club. In the movie, the club that they're following are the Vandals, Chicago motorcycle club. And so it's really just showing the evolution of this motorcycle club in the 60s from it was originally started as a motorcycle racing club, then it became a riding club to kind of like not your typical family. Like the riders became family. They did their things together, and then just kind of the evolution as it got bigger and bigger, and how it kind of devolves into violence and crime, never what it was originally intended to be. And so it was a very good, like, American crime drama. I really enjoyed it. I didn't know much of what to expect, but we had the main cast. We had Jodie Comer as Kathy. We have Austin Butler as Benny, who is Kathy's husband. And the movie opens with him just getting the shit beat out of him in a bar for not taking off his colors, not taking off his jacket. Tom Hardy plays Johnny, the founder of the Vandals Club. And then Norman Reedus comes in, who you know as Daryl from The Walking Dead, as Funny Sonny is what they call him, and he comes in as a fairly small role. But, I mean, you can't have a motorcycle movie without good old Daryl Dixon, Norman Reedus, and then Michael Shannon is in it as Zipco. Boyd Holbrook is in it as Cal, which I love Boyd Holbrook and everything I've seen him in. He's fantastic in Vengeance. He's fantastic in Logan. Great actor. And then Damon Harriman plays Brucey, and he's not a super huge name, but he played Dewey in Justified. So Walton Goggins, Boyd's right-hand man in that show, does a fantastic job in that. And then he's played Charles Manson in a number of projects. He played Charles Manson in Mindhunter and in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I don't know what that says for you. If they're like, hey, you know what? You'd make a good Charles Manson. And then you get kind of typecast as that in a few projects. But who wouldn't want to be in a Tarantino film? And Mindhunter is just a fantastic show on Netflix. But this movie, it's had some of the production issues for when it was going to be released. So it released at the Telluride Film Festival in August of 2023. It was supposed to come to theaters in December 2023. Due to the strike, it got delayed, and it changed from 20th Century Studios was going to be releasing it to eventually Focus Features is who released it. And so I thought this was a very, like, gritty drama showing, just like I said, this evolution of this motorcycle club. I don't want to get into any big spoilers or anything like that, but it has absolutely fantastic performances across the board from the entire cast. Austin Butler is great in it. Jodie Comer is great in it. Tom Hardy is great in it. The only thing that I will call out is Jodie Comer. Her accent that she used, just, I don't know. I'm not saying it was a bad accent. It was just a lot. And she is doing the most of the narration in the show, so she is talking constantly. And I think her character, that's how it was written for that time, and probably accurate and fitting. But she says, about 500 times in this movie, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. She just says it insane. And Tom Hardy, it's kind of it's something that goes with him, that it seems like he just won't accept the role unless he can do kind of a weird voice. So he's doing like a higher not quite squeaky, but a higher voice with an American accent in it, which I get why you got to do the American accent. You're in Chicago. But man, that's obviously Jodie Comer's trying to do it like a Chicago accent. Like I said, I'm not saying it was bad. It is just to the extreme. And so Tom Hardy's voice choice is interesting, but the performance that he gives is fantastic. And so you see so much like heartbreak and emotion and just everything they go through and how they're like a family. And I really enjoyed it. And this movie is opening up this Friday on wide release on June 21st. So I'm not saying it's a definite go and watch in the theaters, but I think it's definitely worth seeing. Jeff Nichols directs it and has it shot fantastically. And it's very well written. It's not crazy long. It's only about like an hour, 45 minutes, just under 2 hours. But it is very well done, and the performances in it are fantastic. I don't think they're going to get nominated for anything, but Austin Butler is like perfect for this role. Like I could see him leading a Son of Anarchy spinoff tomorrow. He's really good in it, and so I've been impressed. I still haven't watched Elvis. I think part of it's just some hesitation because Baz Luhrmann just usually does not do it for me, and I've heard so much about it, and I've seen how bad Tom Hanks' accent is in that. But I've heard Austin Butler is great in that. He was great in Dune 2, and so it was neat getting to see a little bit more out of him in this role. So the Bikeriders opens in theaters June 21st. It was a good time. I'm enjoying these mystery movies when I have the opportunity to go see them. Not really knowing what I'm going to get to see, and get to see something I probably wouldn't go see in theaters anyway. Now, I have a random day off coming up during the work week, and so I'm thinking that I might go see either Bad Boys Ride or Die, which I've heard is fantastic, or Furiosa. So there might be some thoughts on that coming to the pod. The plan right now is for Brad and I to record our review on Wish this week. I'm on vacation the next 2 weekends, so I will not be home. And so I need to get it recorded and edited before then. And so if that doesn't work, we might have a mini episode, but we're planning to record so that next week is our review of the Disney movie Wish, which is streaming on Disney Plus, which stars Ariana DeBose and Chris Pine. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, if that's your jam. We're on there too. The Twitter page, I do not actively post there. Twitter X is dead. I don't like it. It's gone. So Instagram's the main feed that feeds into everything that's on there. Is on Facebook too. And then follow our YouTube if you like watching the video stuff. Try to put some fun things in the videos. Get a peek at me, not just in a t-shirt and a hat today. And then like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you all for watching, listening. Have a great rest of your week, and don't forget to go down once more. Later.